Your mind does not wander because it is weak. It wanders because it is vast, because it refuses to stay inside narrow corridors built for safer thinkers. From the beginning, your attention moved like weather, not machinery. And the world punished you for it without understanding what it was seeing. You were told you lacked focus. You accepted the sentence quietly. Every missed deadline felt like proof. Every unfinished task felt like exposure. You learned to carry guilt as background weight, never questioned, always present, tightening around your chest with each comparison. But here is the truth that was never explained. Focus is not absence of movement. It is direction of power, and your power was never meant to point at one thing forever. It was designed to scan horizons, connect fragments, and sense possibilities long before they had names. Your thoughts race because they are hunting. Your curiosity jumps because it is mapping terrain. While others walk straight lines, you explore depth, width, and hidden layers simultaneously. That looks like distraction to those who only value speed in one direction. From early on, you learn to mistrust yourself. Authority misread your silence. Teachers misjudged your pauses. Friends questioned your intensity. You were underestimated, not once, but repeatedly, until betrayal became subtle and normalized. You adapted by shrinking, by pretending interest where none existed, by forcing stillness onto a nervous system built for motion. That effort drained you. Exhaustion followed. Burnout arrived quietly. You blamed yourself again, because nobody offered another explanation. This is where shame cycles took root. You planned everything perfectly, then stalled. You felt time slip through your hands like smoke. Hours vanished without warning. Deadlines appeared suddenly, sharp and unforgiving. You labeled yourself lazy when you were actually overloaded. Unfocused was the wrong word. Your attention was not missing. It was everywhere. Sensory input hit harder. Emotions arrived louder. Details mattered deeply. You felt too much, and too fast, for systems designed to reward emotional dullness. Creativity lives where attention refuses to stay still. It thrives in cross-connection, in sudden insight, in patterns that form sideways instead of sequentially. Your mind does this naturally. That is why boredom hurts you physically. Repetition dulls your edge. Hyperfocus proves this. When meaning appears, you lock in completely. Hours collapse. The world fades. Complexity becomes immersive. This is not inconsistency. This is selective ignition. Your brain conserves fuel until something worthy appears, then releases everything. The problem was never your capacity. It was the demand to distribute it evenly across meaningless tasks. That is like asking lightning to glow softly. Instead of striking, it violates its nature. Emotional intensity amplified everything. Praise felt electric. Criticism cut deep. You replayed moments endlessly. Overthinking was not weakness. It was your mind attempting to resolve unresolved input. You processed deeply because shallow processing never worked for you. Still, pressure built. Comparison poisoned confidence. You watched others progress linearly and wondered why effort felt heavier for you. You measured worth by output instead of insight. Eventually, something inside cracked. That psychological break felt like failure. Motivation vanished. The internal critic went quiet out of exhaustion. For a moment, nothing drove you. That emptiness was terrifying, but necessary. It created space for truth. In that space, a question surfaced. What if focus was not your problem? What if the problem was trying to compress an expansive mind into a narrow frame? That question changed everything. The first transformation begins with reframing attention. You stop calling it scattered. You start calling it expansive. You observe where it flows naturally. You notice patterns instead of fighting them. Awareness replaces shame. The second transformation is creative containment. You build systems that capture ideas immediately. Notes, voice memos, visual boards. You stop trusting memory. You externalize brilliance so it does not evaporate. Execution improves without force. The third transformation is disciplined direction, not suppression. Channeling. You choose fewer projects. You protect focus windows fiercely. You let curiosity roam only within chosen arenas. Freedom inside boundaries creates power. Slowly, your relationship with attention changes. You stop apologizing for how you think. You stop explaining yourself to people who benefit from misunderstanding you. Silence becomes efficient. Confidence grows quietly. The storm inside no longer feels hostile. It feels familiar. You learn how to stand inside it without being thrown. Thoughts still race, but now they align. Emotion still surges, but it fuels creation instead of self-attack. Others still call you unfocused. Let them. They see movement and assume chaos. You know better now. You know that creativity requires range, that innovation needs wandering before convergence. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are built different. Different for synthesis. Different for depth. Different for futures not yet stabilized. This is not motivation. It is recognition, and recognition is the beginning of mastery. The rebuild begins without applause. No sudden clarity. No dramatic turnaround. Just small shifts that feel insignificant until they compound. You start noticing how attention behaves when it is respected instead of restrained. You stop forcing yourself into rigid schedules built for different minds. You replace punishment with observation. Energy becomes data. Focus becomes negotiable. You work with waves instead of against them, and resistance drops quietly. This is when guilt loosens its grip. You realize procrastination was often misdirected protection. Your mind avoided tasks that drained meaning or clarity. Avoidance was not sabotage. It was misaligned instinct trying to survive. Time blindness still exists. It always will. But now you design around it. You externalize time. Visual timers. Anchors. Hard stops. Soft starts. Anxiety decreases as structure becomes neutral, not moral. Creative output increases because pressure decreases. You stop waiting for motivation. You prepare conditions. Movement follows preparation, not emotion. This alone separates sustainable creators from burned-out dreamers. You begin to see how your mind truly works. Ideas arrive in clusters. Images connect before words. Meaning forms through synthesis, not sequence. You stop translating this for others. You honor it internally first. Underestimation still happens. People expect inconsistency. They remember fragments of your past. Missed deadlines. Abandoned projects. You let them. Their assumptions create cover, while you build quietly. The silence is strategic. You conserve energy. You stop announcing plans prematurely. You allow ideas to mature privately. This protects momentum from interference and doubt. Hyperfocus becomes predictable. Not constant, but reliable. You learn its triggers, interest, challenge, autonomy. You arrange work to invite these conditions. When it arrives, you capitalize fully. You also learn when to stop. You exit before exhaustion. You recover deliberately. Burnout becomes signal, not sentence. This self-regulation increases longevity dramatically. Emotional intensity stabilizes into depth. You feel fully without drowning. You learn to move emotion through action, walks, creation, physical exertion. Rumination loses power when movement intervenes early. Relationships shift. You stop over-explaining. You stop seeking permission to be intense. Boundaries form naturally. Some people resist. Some lead. Alignment improves regardless. Comparison loses authority slowly. You respect different tempos. Linear progress stops intimidating you. You understand that depth moves differently than speed. Your timeline becomes personal and precise. Creative confidence grows quietly. You stop imitating. You synthesize. Your work carries signature. People notice difference without understanding source. That is fine. Impact does not require explanation. Pressure tests this new structure. Stress returns. Deadlines loom. Old patterns attempt revival. This is where integration matters. You pause. You choose response. Collapse shorten. Control holds. You realize resilience was always present. It was buried under shame. With shame removed, endurance surfaces. You recover faster. You forgive quicker. You stay oriented toward progress. Innovation accelerates. You prototype ideas rapidly. Feedback loops tighten. Ego dissolves. Curiosity leads. This flexibility outpaces perfectionism every time. You stop romanticizing chaos. Discipline becomes ally. Structure supports freedom. You respect energy cycles. You plan recovery. Sustainability becomes strategy, not compromise. The storm imagery shifts. It no longer represents overwhelm. It represents movement. Weather changes. You navigate. You do not demand clear skies. You travel anyway. This is the second truth. Creativity expands when attention is allowed to roam, then convert. You master both phases. Exploration and execution. Wander and strike. The rebuild continues. The next phase demands scale, not survival. Responsibility increases. Influence widens. The edge you forged must now carry weight. That test comes next. Now scale arrives, heavy and undeniable, asking whether your creativity can carry responsibility without collapsing. You feel the weight settle, not crushing, clarifying. This is where unfocused myths die and disciplined imagination takes command, with earned calm authority. Leadership emerges quietly from this mind. You orient chaos without force. Others seek certainty. You offer direction. Your presence steadies rooms because you learned regulation through storms, not manuals, applause, or permission earned through pain and patience alone. Your attention now obeys intention. Exploration has edges, convergence has teeth. You decide when to wander and when to strike, converting curiosity into outcomes while protecting energy, time, and integrity across demanding seasons of work and life cycles. Underestimation returns wearing familiarity. They remember fragments, not integration. You allow it. Assumptions become camouflage while capability compounds in silence, sharpening leverage for moments that actually matter most when stakes rise and choices define futures quickly, cleanly, decisively. Creativity matures into craftsmanship. You select fewer arenas and go deeper. Novelty stops chasing you. Purpose holds attention longer than excitement, anchoring effort through boredom, resistance, and long horizons, where patience builds mastery, relevance, durability, trust, influence, legacy. Emotion becomes intelligence under command. Anger draws boundaries. Sensitivity reads subtext. Empathy negotiates outcomes. You feel fully, then move, preventing rumination from stealing momentum and clarity during pressure, conflict, fatigue, uncertainty, complexity, transitions, leadership, growth, tests, repeatedly, steadily. Time bends but no longer betrays you. Buffers exist. Signals warn early. Systems catch slips gently. You recover without drama, preserving trust with yourself and others through consistent follow-through across projects, commitments, seasons, cycles, demands, pressure, growth. Your non-linear intelligence shows its crown. You synthesize signals quickly. You anticipate shifts early, while others freeze seeking rules. You move responsibly within ambiguity, creating safety through action under volatile conditions. Limited information, real consequences, human stakes. Revenge energy transforms into forward velocity. You do not prove, you produce. Results recalibrate narratives faster than arguments ever could, closing loops without wasting breath or attention on fragile egos, outdated frames, shallow metrics, public noise, distractions, expectations. Discipline feels protective now. Silence conserves force. Control guides timing. You strike rarely and decisively, choosing exits as carefully as entries, ensuring longevity beyond temporary wins across careers, creations, relationships, influence, reputation, health, meaning, seasons, cycles, storms. Endured. Comparison dissolves completely. Alignment replaces ranking. You measure progress internally by clarity and impact, freeing attention from envy and urgency that once drained creative power through constant self-judgment, cultural noise, false timelines, borrowed standards, imposed scarcity, fear. Pressure becomes familiar weather. You prepare, not panic. Habits carry you through crises, while others search for motivation, revealing the quiet advantage of boring consistency, built through repetition, recovery, patience, humility, learning, feedback, adjustment, endurance, resolve, practice, time. Your creativity now scales without fracturing you. Teams, platforms, audiences feel manageable. You design guardrails, delegate wisely, and maintain authorship over vision and values. Amid growth, scrutiny, demand, deadlines, expectations, complexity, politics, risk, reward, change, pressure, scale, responsibility, betrayal taught discernment. You choose allies, slowly. Trust is earned through behavior. This selectivity multiplies effectiveness, protecting momentum from sabotage and misalignment. Across collaborations, contracts, friendships, leadership, negotiations, partnerships, incentives, power, influence, timelines, stress, conflict, growth, seasons. Ahead, the myth resolves into method. Exploration feeds execution. Wandering informs precision. Your edge is no longer raw creativity, but creative command applied deliberately with structure, restraint, timing, focus, courage, patience, boundaries, ethics, craft, purpose, direction, consistency, mastery. Storm imagery settles into sovereignty. Fire burns clean. Steel holds edge. You sit with power calmly, aware of cost, committed to stewardship over influence, talent, creativity, people, outcomes, consequences, time, energy, resources, impact, legacy, responsibility, restraint, wisdom, earned. You were never unfocused. You were expansive without instruction. Now instruction lives inside you, forged by experience, discipline, and compassion for your own nature, developed through failure, recovery, insight, patience, practice, alignment, self-trust, agency, choice, responsibility. The world will test this integration. Deadlines, stakes, eyes watching. You respond with clarity and movement, not noise. Proving difference becomes advantage when mastered. Under pressure, scrutiny, volatility, uncertainty, opposition, fatigue, complexity, risk, consequence, scale, exposure, accountability, expectation, mythic energy closes the circle. The throne was internal all along. You claim it through action, humility and endurance, ready to build what only you can imagine and sustain, refine, protect, evolve, share, scale, ground, lead, honor, forward. Remember this when doubt returns. You are not broken, you are not lazy. You were built different, and now you are trained with discipline, clarity, systems, restraint, courage, patience, integrity, focus, compassion, strength, wisdom, readiness, purpose, command, direction. Carry this edge forward. Protect it. Use it sparingly. Innovation follows those who move with intention through uncertainty, without apology, hesitation, chaos, fear, excuses, permission, noise, distraction, doubt, comparison, urgency, resentment, envy, fatigue, burnout, confusion, collapse, regression, stagnation. The future bends toward minds like yours, not because of speed alone, but because adaptability endures when systems fail amid disruption, transition, innovation, crisis, pressure, ambiguity, scarcity, abundance, change, resistance, complexity, volatility, uncertainty, competition, evolution, demands, reality, cycle. Stand steady inside your storm. Command attention with calm. Create relentlessly with care. Lead without shouting through example. Consistency, clarity, humility, courage, patience, discipline, restraint, focus, service, impact, endurance, growth, trust, respect, outcomes, meaning, legacy, influence, presence, direction. Your creativity, beyond limits, now has limits you choose. This paradox is power, granting freedom through form that supports depth, sustainability, excellence, mastery, scale, impact, clarity, pace, recovery, longevity, authorship, ownership, agency, purpose, direction, boundaries, ethics, intent. Subscribe for the next chapter of disciplined imagination and ascent as you build boldly, patiently, quietly, consistently, ethically, creatively, sustainably, forward, onward, upward, grounded, focused, resilient, prepared, ready, now always, together, learning, refining, executing, evolving, enduring, strong.